What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We're going to give you a very early projected record for Louisville and take a look at their schedule coming off of a very impressive season. Before we get to the 2024 schedule, let's look back at the schedule from 2023, and you can see 10-2. Again, had a great season. Lost to Pittsburgh, lost to Kentucky. They were close to winning both of those games, and again, with Florida State without Jordan Travis, this team could have been undefeated. Louisville was not that far away from being in the college football playoff last year, as crazy as that sounds. You had NC State and Notre Dame; those were two tough games, but overall, it wasn't that tough of a schedule. Miami had to play them on the road as well, but it's going to be more of the same. It's going to be more of the same in 2024. Here is that schedule, and let's break it down. So first, we look at the non-conference: Austin Peay, Jacksonville State, Notre Dame, and Kentucky. So again, it's going to be a very similar schedule. This time they'll play at Notre Dame and at Kentucky. So that does make the non-conference schedule a little bit tougher. You look at their home games, they'll also play Georgia Tech, SMU, Miami, and Pittsburgh. All very winnable games for Louisville. And then you look at the road games, you got those two non-conference games. Then it's at Virginia, at Boston College, at Clemson, and at Stanford. Yeah, Clemson's going to be tough, but Virginia, Boston College, Stanford, all very winnable games. So the schedule does set up for Louisville to potentially have another really good season. They'll start with Austin Peay on August 31st. That'll be at home. Then they play Jacksonville State the next week at home on the 7th. Then they get a bye week before playing Georgia Tech on September 21st. And then Notre Dame on the road on September 28th. So a bye week, a couple of easy games, then a bye week. Then you get ready for a tougher stretch of the schedule, obviously Georgia Tech, then Notre Dame. Then on October 5th, they'll play SMU at home. Then it's on the road at Virginia on October 12th. Then Miami at home on the 19th. Then they'll go back on the road to play at Boston College on, I believe, a Friday night on the road. That'll obviously be a very, very tough game. It's tough to play them on the road, especially those weeknight games. And you never know. That could be the red bandana game. I really don't know. After that, they'll play Clemson on the road on November 2nd. Then they get their second bye week. So you might had rather had the bye week before the Clemson game instead of after, but it is at least, yeah, I mean, think about if they had just switched Stanford and Clemson. You go all the way out west, then you get a bye week, then you get Clemson. That would have made a lot more sense, but it is what it is. They'll play Pittsburgh after that on November 23rd at home, and then close things out with Kentucky on the road November 30th. So no back-to-back road games. Yes, Boston College. Wait, no, I take that back. Boston College and Clemson. Back-to-back road games there. And again, that's going to be those two games there are going to be tough. Playing those games on the road back-to-back. Notre Dame early in the season is going to be a tough game on the road. Kentucky obviously has had Louisville's number now for quite some time. So, a pretty tough schedule. Lots of games on there that you'd say, yeah, Louisville, they should win, but there are going to be some tough ones as well. So let's get to the projections here, and this is the scale that we use. So if it's less than 20 over 80, those are games where I think the spread will be, it's going to be a 17 plus point spread, games that should be easy wins or losses. 20 to 29, 71 to 80, those are games where I think the spread will be double digits, 10 to 14, 15, it's kind of in that range. And then 30 to 39, 61 to 70, games where I think the spread will be about a touchdown, 6, 7, 8 points. And then your 50-50 games will stay in the white. Those are games that really could go either way. So we start with the easier wins. You've got Austin Peay and Jacksonville State. Jack State's not bad. So, that's probably closer to 80% than it is 100%, whereas Austin Peay probably closer to 100%. But they should be able to take care of business in both of those games, and those will be the easiest games of the season. So kind of works out well to have those easier games early with a lot of new faces with the transfer portal that they've lost a lot of guys, but they've brought a lot of guys in, and so you kind of get to build some chemistry or whatever those first couple of weeks. And then you look at the next games here. These are the games in the purple, games where I think they'll be favored, but not by a ton, and probably only by about a touchdown. We got Georgia Tech at home, Pittsburgh at home, and then Virginia, Boston College, and Stanford all on the road. And like I said, if Boston College, if they turn out to be better than we think, with that game being on the road and where it is on the schedule, that one might be closer to a 50-50 game. But Boston College right now doesn't look to be a real factor in the ACC. But again, I think that's going to be a tough game. Virginia seems to maybe be on the rise. Georgia Tech on the rise. Stanford, who knows what we're going to get from them. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh coming off of just a disastrous season. So, but again, I think Louisville will be favored in these games by about a touchdown. So that gives you 7 games where they're going to be a clear favorite. And then you've got a couple of games where I think they're going to be a clear underdog. That's Notre Dame and Clemson. Not just because these teams are expected to be good, but also these games on the road. That's going to be, those are the 2 toughest games on the schedule for Louisville. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's going to be tough for them to win really either one of those games. So I think they will be about a touchdown underdog in both of those. Potentially more, depending on, again, just how good Louisville is. It's hard to say right now with all the new players on the roster. This is a team that's, again, tough to predict. And so then you've got SMU, Miami, and Kentucky. To me, these are your 50-50 games. These are the ones that could go either way. I think they'll probably be favored against SMU and Miami by 3 or 4 points. Kentucky, on the other hand, probably will be favored against Louisville, especially with you look at the history of that rivalry and the fact that that game is in Lexington. That's going to be tough for Louisville. So, if you looked at this and said, they're going to win the games that they're favored in. They're going to lose to Notre Dame and Clemson. And then you split the 50-50 games. That would put them at 8-4 or potentially 9-3. But you have to, the formula we use, you have to average it all out. So when you have 5 of these games in the purple, the odds will say that you're probably going to lose at least one of those games. So the projection, when you plug it in, comes out to 8-4. So Louisville projected to go 8-4. I think that's a fair projection. I think they have potential to do, a good bit better than that. Maybe get to 10-2, maybe 9-3. Maybe though it's a little worse. Maybe they lose all these 50-50 games. They lose to Notre Dame and Clemson. They go 7-5. So it could really go either way. Again, I think 8-4 a very fair projection for Louisville. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Give me your thoughts on this team down in the comments below.